Thank you for coming. Greatly appreciate it. It's an opportune time for everybody, our company, to be a part of the Hilton Head area, installing solar electric generating systems. And again, thank you for coming. My name's Stephen Schwartz. I'm the owner of Hilton Head Solar. And today we're here for an educational seminar. How solar could work for you, other energy efficiencies, and how we work as a company directly. So in 1931, not long before he died, Thomas Edison, the inventor, told his friends Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone, "I put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power. I hope we don't have to wait until oil and coal run out before we tackle that." And here we are, years later, where actively the United States is actively pursuing the installation of solar panels. Some of you are from out of state, and as you know, there's solar prominently in those states right now. And as a direct installer, we're here to bring that to the Hilton Head area. In order to effectively reduce energy consumption, industries all around the world are switching to green technology, energy efficient solutions that not only reduce energy consumption, but that also positively impact the environment. So today we're going to discuss who we are as a company, what is a solar electric generating system, why South Carolina, why now, what are the components, and energy efficiency. Hilton Head Solar, we're a South Carolina company. Parent company is Lucent Energy Management, national solar, what's known as an EPC, engineering, procurement, construction company, serving markets throughout the United States. We're a multidisciplinary organization that provides a broad spectrum of solutions to municipal and private clients. We are a direct installer of renewable energy systems, solar photovoltaics, which is solar electric, solar hot water systems, power factor correction, LED lighting, HVAC energy solutions, and other types of solutions like radiant barriers, etc. We are direct PV designers, engineers, and construction team with experience in designing systems. Over 60 megawatts of installed capacity to date. That's over 300,000 solar panels. We are also what's called NABCEP certified solar installers, which is basically the gold label for solar installation. It stands for North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. It's one of the only labels to obtain for solar qualifications. We are also your direct licensed electrical contractor. To date, we have over 60 megawatts of cost-effective energy systems installed, over $10 million in energy grants obtained for over 20 customers, usually what's called a REAP grant. We have our energy produced tracking at 103% of our projected generation upon proposal phase. So what is solar electric? Well, solar PV stands for photovoltaic. Photo stands for light. Voltaic means producing electric or voltage. Photovoltaic systems convert the light from our sun directly into electricity using semiconductor technology. When you walked in today, we have a solar panel on display. It's a 60-cell solar panel with the semiconductor technology, and that's basically a solar panel. What comprises the solar panel are multiple cells. We typically use a 60-cell solar panel, and these cells comprise of the complete module or panel. And many panels together make up the definition of what we call in the industry an array. So if you had two different groups of solar panels on your rooftop, then you would have two different arrays. The beauty about solar is that there are no moving parts. You install it right the first time with a qualified installer. You're not going to have much to any maintenance issues whatsoever. They're reliable with long warranties. They come with a 25-year efficiency warranty with a 10-year manufacturer's warranty. The 25-year warranty states that over the life of the panel, which is technically your life on paper, the 25-year warranty, the panel will not degrade more than either 15 to 20% of its original efficiency from day one you put it in the sun. The typical is a 20-year efficiency degradation, 20% degradation schedule over 25 years. These panels are going to last you over 40 years to come. They're not a 25-year life panel. These panels weigh about 35 to 45 pounds each. Their dimensions are typically 3.5 by 5.5 feet. Structural engineering review is required for each installation. They're very widespread, they're scalable, adaptable. So if you have the roof space or if you have the grounds to actually put the solar panels on, we could accommodate your energy consumption in your house. It's a very low footprint compared to the wattage that they could actually perform. And of course, the big environmental benefits that are associated with the solar panel system. So how does it work? Well, you have the direct current, which is coming through the solar panel from the free power of the sun. And that direct current, DC, gets transformed into alternating current, AC, through what's called an inverter. The inverter, we try to place that as close as possible to the meter at your home. And that inverter is transferring the the DC to AC power within the home. So here's an example. So you have the sunlight hitting the solar panels. Solar panels are creating DC, transferring the DC into AC through the inverter at the house. And then we actually connect that inverter directly to your load center at your home. And that load center is directly connected to all of your lights, your fans, your television, your refrigerator, etc. So we're directly offsetting your electric load with the solar panels. On a day like today, a bright sunny day, if there were solar panels on this roof, all of this electricity would be coming directly from the solar panels, from the light of the sun. Any extra power or power that we could not fit on your rooftop, you would be pulling that directly from the utility company, whether that's SCE&G or Palmetto Electric. So you're getting the benefit of the solar real time at this moment. There are several ways in designing the solar system and different ways that the performance of the solar system works. And a lot of that is dependent on the azimuth, or the direction in which the panels are actually facing on your rooftop. If we're installing on your rooftop, we're limited to the azimuth or direction in which that rooftop is actually facing toward the sun, whether that's 180 degrees due south, or if that's 90 degrees due east, or due west or north, is going to be dependent on what kind of production we're going to get from the solar panels directly. As you can see here in this example, notice how the sun in the summertime in June is a lot higher than in the wintertime. Well, we all know that we have shorter days in the winter. That's because the sun is lower in the wintertime than in the summer. So, in fact, in the summertime, you're going to have a lot more production because the sun is a lot higher and we have more sun hours in our day rather than in the wintertime. In the winter, you're going to get valuable production, but you're just not going to have as many sun hours in the wintertime. And when we design a system, we take into consideration all the rooftops that are available, what rooftops are going to be approved by your architectural review board, and we go through the process with you directly to customize a solar system for your needs. So some of the components that make up our complete solar electric system is the solar array, transferring the DC to AC in through what's called an inverter. In some cases, if you're with SCE&G, we are required to install what's called a revenue grade meter. It's a secondary meter that SCE&G looks at in order to see your production of your system. If you want this revenue grade meter attached to your system, and you're not with SCE&G, we could do that as well. From there, the power actually goes directly into what's called an AC disconnect. That AC disconnect is utility accessible. It's at a ground level, and it's for emergency use. So if the utility company needs to shut down your system for an emergency, they have access to shut down your system without contacting you as the homeowner. See, whether you're home or you're not or whatnot, they have access to it. They can turn it on, they can turn it off. Then the system goes directly into your main service panel, like I just discussed, and then through your utility meter, and of course, your relationship with the public utility company, which is SCE&G or Palmetto Electric. So why now? Well, been in the business since 2009, and since then we've seen a tremendous growth in solar. So as you could see, in 2016, the amount of solar is almost double the amount of solar that was installed in 2015. And it's not really, it's not a prominent energy efficiency solution down here yet, but I could assure you, we are in the infancy stage of this area going solar. And we'll jump into that very shortly. Another reason you should look at solar right now is in regards to the crystalline cost, the cost of the solar panels directly, how they've dropped in price. In the 80s, they were around $70 a watt, and now the panels are as low as 70 cents a watt. So if you look at that factor, it's just tremendous, and they've levelized out in the last 2 years. The cost of solar panels has declined over the last 8 years since I've been in the business, 9 years. The following chart details the drop in the actual cost of the crystalline in which the solar panels are made of. All components of the solar systems have dropped by about 60% in the last 6 years alone. This is a more refined cost per watt of the declining cost since 2010, so you can see it. And why should you even purchase solar? Well, you're all paying for it right now. You're paying for your solar electric. You're just paying for your electric through your electric company. Your same cost, or if not less, you could pay for your electric by owning your own solar system versus paying your electric bill. It's just right now you're paying your electric bill without a return on your investment. With solar, you could purchase your own solar and have a return on your investment. What we're up against is the projected cost of utility power. SCE&G, Palmetto Electric, they raise their rates every year. Whether it's 2.5%, 3.5%, the utility rates are still increasing. Just like any other state, like California. Their rates, I believe, averaged a 7% increase last year. Connecticut, 23% increase in 1 year. On average, New York's electric rates are going up by an average between 11 and 12% year after year. All utilities are constantly increasing their utility rates. If you've been here for over 5 years, you know that you're paying more now than you were 5 years ago. So why South Carolina? Well, if you notice here, this irradiance chart, you're getting the same irradiance as Arizona. Compared to 80% of the rest of the country, you're getting an extra hour and a half of sunlight a day compared to majority of the states that we install in. Here's another chart showing you that where we are located, we're averaging 5.5 to 6 hours of sunlight a day. That's considering all the rain days, your cloudy days, the sun days. You're averaging 5.5 to 6 hours of sunlight a day, which is huge. Many of the states that we install in have incentives, and they're only averaging 4 hours of sunlight a day. Well, your incentive is this extra hour and a half of sunlight a day, and it's an incentive that's not here for a set amount of time. It's here to stay. It doesn't go away. That's the value proposition of this area. The value proposition of South Carolina and Florida, Georgia, you're getting that extra hour and a half of sunlight a day, and it's huge. You quantify that times 365 days a year, it's a lot of extra power. This is a more zoomed in image so you could see the dark area of where we're located and seeing that extra enhancement for irradiance. So what's available for us as a homeowner? Well, you get a federal investment tax credit year one. You have 2 years to exhaust that tax credit, and that's 30% of your total system's cost. That's dollar for dollar federal tax credit. If your system cost you $10,000, you get back $3,000 year one, dollar for dollar. If you owe the federal government an income tax liability of $3,000, you submit a form with your contract associated with your solar system, and your accountant will be able to wipe clean that $3,000 that you owe to the federal government. So that money is pocketed. So that could contribute towards your cash outlay for your investment. Or if you get a bank loan, you could take that $3,000 you kept and pay down the principal of that loan. You also get a South Carolina state income tax credit, dollar for dollar, of 25%. There are rules to this 25%. I'm going to go over that in just a moment. But if your system costs $10,000, you're going to get $2,500 back, year one. Total incentives for engaging in a system today is 55% just in tax credits. So why does South Carolina give you this 25% state tax credit? Well, in 2014, South Carolina obtained the Renewable Portfolio Standard, and they implemented this amongst all their utilities. So the utility companies had to follow the RPS, which is a Renewable Portfolio Standard of 2% of their electricity that they sell needs to come from an alternative or renewable source. Well, you're helping out with that RPS by installing solar on your rooftop. And you're getting this incentive from the state. And the rules are for this state tax credit, it's a maximum of $3,500 per year, up to 10 years. So as a residential customer, you're not going to have 10 years to exhaust $3,500 per year. It's either $3,500 max or 50% of the state income tax liability for that year. So if the cap is $3,500 and you only owe a state income tax of $3,000 that year, you're only able to offset $1,500. But these are the rules of the state tax credit. Some of you may have a state income tax, some of you may not. It still works, and I could show you why. The investment tax credit, it was exhausted, it was supposed to be exhausted in 2016, this past December. Well, legislation has helped pass this investment tax credit, federal, for the next 6 years. So 2016, 17, 18, 19, 5 years. 17, 18, 19, we'll continue to get a 30% federal investment tax credit. It goes down in 2020 to 26%, in 2021 down to 22%. And right now the schedule is as such that after 2021, only commercial customers are going to be able to obtain the federal investment tax credit. So today we're going to talk about a standard system, but there are several systems that we have experience installing. You could install a standalone off-grid system that will incorporate batteries. More technology, more cost. Today we're going to be talking about a grid interactive, on-grid / net metered system. That's today's focus. No batteries are needed. And a grid-tied system with the battery as a backup solution for you. Again, enhanced technology, more cost. So what is net metering? So this is the driver behind solar power in this state. Net metering is your physical relationship with your local utility provider. The benefit of SCE&G and Palmetto Electric providing you a net metered system is that you're getting a dollar for dollar, a kilowatt hour for kilowatt hour credit on the production of your system. I'll explain. Let's say I could design 100% of your annual electric load on the rooftop of your home. If I could design 100% of your annual electric your annual electric on the roof of your home, I'm designing for your annual load, not the daily load. So in that case, on a bright sunny day like today, I'd be overproducing, or you would be overproducing, the amount of electric that you're consuming real time in the home right now. Where does that extra power go? So as you notice, there's a meter here. Well, as soon as we're done installing your system, the utility company will install this digital meter that spins forwards and spins backwards. And that meter is calculating all of those kilowatt hours that you're overproducing during the day and you're feeding to the utility company. Kilowatt hour credit for kilowatt hour credit. So every kilowatt hour credit you give to your local utility provider, they're going to give you that utility credit back to you. Credit for credit. So in the evening when you come home and you turn on your lights, your fan, your TV, your air conditioner, you're going to get those kilowatt hour credits back. Sort of like the grid is acting like your battery. And the grid is sort of reliable down here. You don't have a lot of power outages, and you could rely on that. So there's no need for you to have a battery backup system. So you're utilizing this relationship with the utility company to have this net metered relationship. And this is a give and take relationship throughout the entire year. As your solar service provider, I use what's called NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory. They're a federal agency. They give us a 20-year historical on what your GPS location obtains for sun hours. Well, I know down here we're averaging 5.5 to 6 hours of sunlight a day without any shading. So we're actually taking that historical and we're plugging that into our energy analysis. So I can't be some company coming in here and saying, hey, I'm going to get you a solar system and don't worry, I got you 365 days of sunlight a year. It doesn't happen like that. So we take your historical energy sunlight hours, we plug that into our energy analysis, and that's how we get you your custom system energy production numbers. Does anyone have any questions about net metering and that relationship with the utility company? Okay, great. Well, what's really good about South Carolina is you're not in Georgia. Georgia net metering, they retail you at a rate of 13 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, your net metered credits you get from Georgia Power is 3 cents. So just understand the value of what you have with these utility companies here in South Carolina. Between that extra hour and a half of sunlight a day and the net metering relationship with the utility company, it's a win-win. And now you have another option besides your utility company. And the beauty about the solar is the green energy from your own photovoltaic system, the reliability and security from your local utility provider, and you're getting the best of both worlds. So what happens when it's raining out and you're not consuming that much power off of your solar system? Well, you're going to pull that energy from your local utility provider. So anything that you can't get from the credits that you've saved or from your energy system directly, you'd pull it directly from your local utility provider. And it's that give and take relationship over time. Here's an example. The blue bars are your typical electric consumption on a monthly level. This does not mean this is your consumption level. Every household is different. You may take a vacation for 2 months out of the year, so your consumption may be very low in April. So you're obtaining all those credits that could roll over to your summer months. Everybody has a different schedule here, so this is not specified to your home. But here's an example. So notice in March, April, May, the amount of solar power in the yellow is a little bit more than the consumption levels in the blue in those months. Well, that indifference of kilowatt hour credits would roll over to June and possibly July. So you'd be able to offset that. So here's a graphic image showing you. So in the red is your electric production from the solar photovoltaic system, and the blue line is your average monthly usage. So in the spring and summer months, you're going to obtain more electricity, and you'll be able to roll over those credits towards the winter time. Depending on what utility company you're with, your fiscal year may end either in June or November. So Palm Meadow Electric, their fiscal year for net metering ends June 1st, and they start again June 2nd. So all those credits you obtained toward the spring into June, which you could possibly wipe out your June bill, you start all over again on June 2nd. For SCE&G, it happens in November. They have different years of when they reset. This is another graphic image of showing you the PV system production in red and the average monthly usage. The surplus covers the shortfall. This is just levelizing your cost of electric, just showing you in a visual format. Well, what happens if we can't offset 100% of your annual electric load with your rooftop? Well, we would cover the amount in the red, and the difference between the blue line, you would pay that amount to the utility company. So if I can only offset 50% of your annual electric load, you could be assured that you're going to have 50% of your electric bill coming from your local utility company. Levelized throughout the year. Any questions? Okay, because that's the heart and soul of your energy system. So, third-party leasing. Question?
Why would you need a battery backup if you got the utility company?
Well, good question. So when the utility power goes down, your power goes down on the PV system because you're net metering. Now, some customers mitigate that by installing a battery as a backup, or if you have gas coming to the line, again, where you're a licensed electrical contractor, we can install a backup generator or a battery tied system, or we could opt to install with an inverter that actually has an AC power adapter to it, where we have a receptacle for a 15 amp extension cord, and you could take that 15 amp during the daylight hours only, and you could plug that into your refrigerator, to make sure your refrigerator stays cool. Or you can install a battery system to make sure that you're off-grid for those 3 days, which we have batteries that could perform off-grid for 3 days while that power is out. Some customers like it, some customers don't. What it's doing, it's increasing the cost of your system. It could increase as much as 15-20% of your system's cost. Yes?
That 25-year warranty or even the 10-year manufacturer warranty, are those transferable if you sell your home?
They are to the home address.
Okay.
So they're destined to the home address. You can't take the panels off or the inverter off and transfer it to your new house. Well, you can physically, but you won't get the succession of the actual warranty.